Hey you! Over here! Thank you for subscribing to Anthill TV. Today, we will be replacing a calfskin head on a vintage banjo uke or a banjolele. These instruments were very popular and common between the 1920s and 1940s and have recently seen a surge in popularity. Like its cousin, the banjo, there are many variations on models and parts, so you may have to modify your instructions to your particular instrument. First, let's inspect our banjo uke to figure out what we need to do for the restoration. The main issue here is that the head is torn. It's so old and dried out that it could crumble. We will be replacing it with a calfskin head we have available here at AnthillMusic.com. We have all original parts, including the back plate to the resonator. The Grover tuners are working fine, but if we were to replace the tuners, we would use Grover 2B, 85B, or 3W, which we sell here at Anthill Music. Also, we will need a banjo bridge and strings. Next, we need to deconstruct our banjo. We used our camera phone to take pictures of how it's assembled and use a notepad to write down the order in which we take the pieces off. This is so we know how to put it back together the next day. Banjos can get very complicated and intricate, so this will help us stay on track. We used a large shallow box to keep all our parts organized since this is an overnight project. Also, when you begin to assemble it back together tomorrow, working over the box helps you catch small parts if you accidentally lose grip and drop anything. Now we're going to remove the strings by tuning them down and simply removing them from the tailpiece. Then we take the back of the resonator off. Wow, look at the dust! We see a mechanism holding the neck in place and remove it. Now the neck is free and we pull it out. Next, we loosen the individual hooks with a socket wrench just enough so that they come off the tension hoop. Once all the hooks are off the tension hoop, we remove the tension hoop. At this point, the torn head should just pop off. You may or may not have a tone ring like the one we have here under the head. We need to get the flesh hoop out of the head, so you can take an X-Acto knife and shave the skin away from the metal, or in our case, the skin easily crumbles away from the flesh hoop. Discard the remains of the head. Once all the parts have been disassembled, we're going to clean these parts up. Since this is vintage, and there's dust and dirt and over 80-year-old wood and finish, we do not want to use polishes as it would make things worse. We just use a damp paper towel and untreated cloth. For the metal parts like the tone ring, tension hoop, and flesh hoop, we use a little bit of steel wool to get rid of the thick tarnish. Be delicate with the hoops, in particular the flesh hoop, so you don't bend it. We want to get the hooks out of the way so we can lay the wooden rim flat against the surface of the table. So we take a socket wrench and take a quarter turn to the shoe screws, which are located on the inside of the rim, just enough to loosen them so that we can turn all the hooks on an angle, getting them out of the way so we can work on the head. Now we have everything ready to soak our calfskin. We will need a shallow pan or a bucket, or in our case, we just took a shallow box and lined it with a garbage bag and secured it with tape. It needs to be big enough for your calfskin to lay in. Fill your bucket about 1 to 2 inches full of warm water. Submerge the calfskin down to the bottom, pressing out any air bubbles that may be caught underneath. Let it soak for 10 minutes. Think of it like pasta. You want it al dente. Too long in the water and it will ruin the skin, making it impossible to make a banjo head out of it. It should feel pliable and just slightly stretchy. Pat the excess water off with a paper towel. At this time, we must move at a steady pace or the calfskin will dry out and become unworkable. We take the tone ring and place it on top of the rim with the seam aligned at the center of the neck slot. Choose the best looking side of the calfskin and center the calfskin over the tone ring. Next, take the flesh hoop and lay it on top of the calfskin and align the seam in the center of the neck slot again. Once the seam is centered, hold the flesh hoop on both sides and very slowly and evenly push it down over the skin. You want it to go about 1/4 inch from the top of the surface. Push down a little at a time so you can make small adjustments if it is further down on one side. You want the flesh hoop to be evenly lowered all the way around. Next, gently fold the excess calfskin over the flesh hoop and into the middle. Next, take the tension hoop and align the notch of the tension hoop with the neck slot. The uke strings will be running through this notch, so you want to be dead center, or your strings will hit the tension hoop. Once it's centered, hold the sides with your hands and push down 1/4 inch. There should be a lot of excess skin looped around the flesh hoop that the tension hoop is now placed on top of. Place 4 hooks back onto the tension hoop at 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. Lightly tighten the nut of the hook with your fingers, not too tight, or you will adjust the height and balance of the tension hoop, which we do not want to do yet. Once you have 4 done, begin to do the same thing to all the rest of the hooks. Do not tighten the nuts, just enough to allow the hook to stay on the tension hoop. It is very easy for someone who is new to this to end up with a crooked head. Double check with your fingers around the top of the rim to make sure it is even on all sides. Note, if it is uneven, you will need to backtrack the assembly and re-wet the calf skin for a few seconds. Try not to do this as it may take a toll on your calf skin. Next, we pull up all this extra skin that is pinched underneath the tension hoop and around the flesh hoop. This pinch is what holds the skin in place and gives the skin the ability to create tone. Grab a section with both hands and pull up. As you can see, the skin is very strong and pliable. You should be able to get every wrinkle out of the flesh hoop, leaving you with a clean-looking ring of skin directly under the tension hoop. Next, we take our socket wrench and tighten the nut of the hooks. We take only a quarter turn at a time. The next nut you want to adjust will be directly across from the one you just tightened. Tighten all the nuts in this motion all the way around the rim. You should feel the skin becoming very tight at this point, but what you want to make sure is that the top of the tension hoop needs to be slightly above the skin's surface. Another way we check to make sure we have tightened the hooks down far enough is to place the neck back onto the neck hole and see if the top of the fingerboard is aligned or above the notch of the tension hoop. If the tension hoop is higher than the fingerboard, the strings may buzz on it. Keep adjusting the nut of the hooks accordingly until everything is even and tight. Once you have found the right tension for the hooks, lightly tighten the shoes on the inside of the rim. Do not screw this too tight or you will break the rim. Now we are going to cut away the excess skin. Take a sharp X-Acto knife and lay it flat on the skin with the blade tilted up so you don't accidentally cut your new head. Carefully glide the tip of the knife around the tension hoop, cutting away the skin at the height of the head surface. Do not cut too low or the skin will pull out of the hoops and that will be it for that skin. Be careful not to cut yourself at this step. Wipe away any extra moisture and let the new head sit overnight so the skin can dry up and tighten. The next day our new head is looking great. Now we're going to put the banjolele back together. Take your notes from the day before and work your way backwards. We put the neck back on, then the tail piece screws back in, then the brace inside that holds the neck in place. Lastly, we set up and restring. We have here a pack of Martin ukulele strings, which we sell here at AntHillMusic.com. Your tail piece or saddle may or may not be different from ours. In the case of this banjo uke, we make a square knot with one end of the string and place the knot behind the first groove of the tail piece, then through the hole of the tail piece, then down to the tuning pegs. Repeat for all strings. With all banjos, you want to measure from the nut to the 12th fret with a ruler. Move your ruler over to start at the 12th fret and mark that same measurement from before on the head with a soft pencil. We have the original bridge for this banjo uke, but you may or may not want to replace it with a new bridge. We sell a variety here at Ant Hill Music. Lift the string slightly and slide the bridge into place dead center over the measurement that you marked. Place the strings into the grooves of the bridge and tune up with a tuner like the PT10 we are using here. New nylon strings take some time to break in, so you will probably have to retune a lot in the first week. Have fun, y'all! We sure hope you enjoyed this episode of Ant Hill TV. Be sure to find us on Facebook. We offer exclusive discount codes, promotions, and free prizes to all of our friends. That's facebook.com/Ant Hill Music Inc. Have a nice day!